Hello everyone. In today's lecture we will talk about MALDI-TOF. MALDI-TOF is a very common type of mass spectrometer which is used to study proteins in proteomics. So as we know from the earlier lecture, in basic principle of mass spectroscopy is first the sample is ionized, and then those ions, those analytes in ionic state, they are focused into electromagnetic field. That's called deflection, and this is basically analyzer. And then eventually these ions are detected in order to get idea about concentration of those ions in the sample. So this is the basic principle in mass spectroscopy which we have discussed in earlier lecture. In case of ionization of the sample, there are different methods of ionization. Those also we have covered in one of the lectures, the different methods of ionization. For example, in case of MALDI-TOF, you use a method which is called MALDI, matrix assisted laser desorption ionization, and instead of magnet, analyzer is used here is TOF, time of flight analyzer. That's why this instrument, this mass spectrometer is called MALDI-TOF, because MALDI represent the method of ionization and TOF is analyzer of ions in this technique. So MALDI is a soft method of ionization, and soft method of ionization means it does not break bonds, covalent bonds, when it's ionizing analytes. That's why it is very much employed in case of studying proteins and other biomolecules. And very high mass compounds can be studied. In fact, over 500 kilodalton mass compounds can be studied using MALDI-TOF, and that's why it is used for studying proteins, peptides, nucleotides, and large molecules. And it's produced ion by protonation or deprotonation in both methods. And in this method, a sample, the analyte to be studied, is mixed with a solid matrix in excess concentration. So in MALDI, a multi-well stainless steel plate is used that is called target, and in this plate sample and matrix are mixed. Matrix is a chemical which help in ionizing sample and also protect sample from fragmentation. So concentrated solution of matrix, generally saturated solution of matrix, is added with the sample. It is dried, and once it dried with sample is dried with a high concentration of matrix, it crystallizes on the target plate. And those crystals, those are basically irradiated with the laser beam. So these analyte, these matrix molecules, they absorb laser beam and get excited, and they fly off from the target plate along with analytes. So this process is called desorption. And then these molecules of matrix, they transfer proton because they are already in excited state after absorbing laser beam radiation. So they transfer proton to the analyte, so analyte become positively charged, and the matrix molecule get dissociated from the analyte. This process is known as dissolution and ionization. Now you have free ions of analyte which are focused to a mass analyzer. And the mass analyzer here is time of flight, not a magnetic sector which we have discussed in earlier lectures, but you have a different type of analyzer which is used to analyze the charged species of sample. And you can use different kind of matrix in MALDI. Those are basically aromatic compounds which can absorb radiation and can transfer radiation to the analyte, energy to the analyte in order to ionize them. The basic purpose of the function of matrix molecule here is to dilute and isolate analyte molecule from each other. So the analyte molecule, they are separated from one another, they are not in aggregated form. And of course the matrix also work as a mediator of energy transfer from laser beam to the sample analyte. And the analyte is selected based on the requirement, based on the nature, the matrix is selected on the basis of nature of the analyte being used in the experiment. So in MALDI-TOF, The analyzer is a time of flight TOF analyzer. In this, the travel time from the ion source through the flight tube to the detector is measured generally in microsecond scale, and that can be transformed into m by z value. So m by z is calculated from measuring time of flight of ions in a tube of defined length. And the sensitivity of this method is sufficient to detect even up to 5 fermetomole of a compound of peptide, which is generally coming in proteomic experiment when you run two-dimensional gel electrophoresis in proteomics and you stain with the silver. So the amount of peptides and proteins is very little there. So that's why it's a very complementary method, complementary technique for proteomic analysis. And because all ions masses are measured for each ion burst, TOF mass spectrometers, they offer very high sensitivity as well as very rapid scanning. So that's why they can provide mass data of very high mass molecules as well. And these ions, it separate ions by virtue of their different flight time over a known distance. So you have a tube where distance is known, and the time traveled by ions from, say, this point to the detector. You have detector here. So from here to the detector, the time taken is measured. That's called time of flight, and that time of flight is converted into m by z. So how it's converted? You see these ions, they have a potential energy called ZeV. So ZeV is the energy these ions are having. Z is the number of charge, and E is the magnitude of charge. V is the voltage provided to accelerate these ions. And this is converted when they run in the time of flight tube, TOF tube. Their kinetic energy, this is converted into kinetic energy, that's half mv square. So potential energy of those ions is being converted into the kinetic energy. So if you keep them together, you can find the value of V. So velocity of the ion would depend, it is equal to under root 2 ZeV upon m, where we know that V is the voltage and m is mass of that ion. So but here we are calculating time of flight. So time taken by any analyte from one point to another point in a distance d. So t is equal to distance d divided by velocity of that ion. So value of v can be placed here. So you will see that t is equal to time taken, the time of flight is equal to d under root m upon 2 ZeV. So from this equation we can calculate m by z. So basically this is what you observe in time of flight. You observe the value of t, which is converted into m by z, because m by z value can be derived from this equation. M by z is equal to 2 EV into t upon d whole square. So here EV is known, t is known, and distance, the tube length, is also known. So that's why by the putting value of t, m by z of ions is calculated. And lower the ion's mass, the greater is the velocity. We know from this equation that velocity would inversely depend on the mass. If mass is high, velocity will be very rapid, very high, and when velocity of ion is high, the time of flight will be less. So it will have shorter time of flight, and vice versa. If you have a small mass ion, that will take longer time to reach from this initial point to the detector. So that's how m by z is calculated, and a graph between m by z of ions versus their concentration. Concentration again come from the detector. We have seen in earlier lecture on principle of mass spectroscopy. So concentration relative abundance of ions is calculated from a detector. For example, a simplest detector is a metal strip. When these ions collide with the metal strip, they become neutralized, and as a result electricity current is produced in the metal. That current is measured, which is directly proportional to the number of ions colliding to the metal strip. So from where abundance will come, and that's how you can plot a mass spectra of m by z versus abundance of ions in MALDI-TOF. So something like this is a raw spectra of a protein. It's a serum alpha fetal protein. In the raw spectra, you see that there are many peaks here in the raw spectra. So although protein was pure, but still you are getting many peaks in Marley-Topf spectra. That is because of the charge species. Every peak may contain different charge value. For example, in case of proteins are also already charged molecules. So when you try to ionize them, their charge varies from molecule to molecule. And that's why the value of M by Z will be different for different molecules, different beam of molecules. And therefore, you get multiple peaks when you plot M by Z versus abundance. So these all peaks, they correspond to the one protein. But how do you find out then mass of that protein? Because if you see M by Z, for example, for this peak is 1405, is 1405 M by Z, but we don't know charge on this peak. If you know charge on this peak, you can multiply M by Z with the charge, and that will be the molecular weight of this peak. So similarly, in order to deconvolute the raw spectra you are getting from mass spectroscopy, you need to assign charge on each peak. So each peak, if you can calculate charge, you can multiply M by Z with the charge. So mass of each peak can be calculated, and in the final spectra you will see the average mass of the protein, which is derived from mass of all these peaks. So that's a mean mass actually. For example, for this protein, you have got up to say 1800 M by Z value, but the mass of the protein is 68,000 kilodalton, over 68,000 kilodalton. And even you see there are more peaks also. Those are because when you have protein in solution, protein molecules, they don't have the same mass. The mass varies because mass is not only from polypeptide chain, which is contributing to the protein mass. You have some molecules may be bound to some iron molecule, and protein molecules always bound to water molecules also. And even post-translational modification. For example, in glycosylation is a type of post-translational modification which varies. The number of sugar varies from protein molecule to protein molecule. So same protein may show different peak, because they have different mass as a result of variable sugar present as a glycosylation on the protein surface. So that's why, for example, in this peak you see one mass is 68361, 6850, and this one, the maximum is this one. So these other peaks are because they are variation in the mass due to presence of some ions bound to the protein molecules. So this deconvolution is done by computer. You have computer algorithms available which can deconvolute the raw spectra, which is of M by Z against abundance. That convert the spectra to mass to the abundance. So this M by Z is converted to the mass by different algorithms using this deconvolution process. For example, if there are 5 peaks you are getting in a mass spectra, these are the M by Z values, 5 M by Z values, their abundance. So how do you calculate mass of that analyte which is giving all these 5 peaks? So for that you can use this formula. First you calculate charge on each peak. So how do you do that? Charge is N2 here. So N2 is basically charge. You can say Z. So charge is equal to M1 minus 1, M2 minus M1. So these peaks can be made into pairs. For example, this is first pair. So in this one, this is M1, this is M2. If you make another pair, this one with this one, so this will be M1 and this is M2. And if you try to pair these two, this become M1 and this is become M2. Similarly, for this peak, you have M1 and M2. So you have made adjacent peak as pairs, and the lower M by Z value is M1 in the pair, and the high M by Z containing peak is M2. So now using the formula, you can get the value of M minus 1. So M minus 1 is equal to, you see here, this is always M2. So M minus 1 means 952.3 minus 1. So this is 951.3. Similarly, in this pair, this is M1. So 884.3 minus 1, 883, and so on. So that's how you get 4 peaks here. Out of 5, you can analyze only 4 peaks. Then you take a difference of M2 minus M1. So difference of 552.3 and 1031.3 is 79. Similarly, difference of this peak and this peak, so that is 68, 58.8, 51.6. So that's the value of difference of m by z of adjacent peaks. Now in order to calculate charge, use the formula m1 minus 1 divided by difference of m by z values. So for example, if you multiply 951.3 by 79, you will see 12.041. This is the value. Similarly, when you multiply 883.3 with 68, you get 12.989. So this N2 is basically charge on these peaks. So 12.04 means is a 12 charge, to positive 12 charge. 12.98 means you have 13 charge on this peak. On third peak you have 14 charge, fourth peak you have 15 charge. No charge is available. Now you have to multiply each peak, you have to multiply its m by z with the charge, and you reduce mass of the proton, number of proton attached to that protein, that peak. So that is done by mass, is calculated by mass is equal to N2, N2 is charge, multiply by M2 minus 1. So M2 minus 1 can be again calculated, 1031.3 minus 1, so 1030.3 and so on. So that's the value of M2 for all 4 peaks. And then the mass can be calculated by multiplying N2 minus 1 with the charge. So if you multiply the charge 12.041 with 1030.3, you get the value 12406.6 and so on. So you get all the masses of all the peaks known. But to get the mean mass, you need to take the average of these all 4 masses, and that average here would be, if you make the total, that is 499.3, divide that with 4 in order to get average, and that mass is 1237.4.8. So this is the mass of the what you get in convoluted spectra from the Raman spectra of any protein in a mass spectroscopy.